What's up, family? It's your boy, Chris Sims, co-host of the Praise Radio Show. And we're here again today for another episode of Car Chronicles with Chris. And today, we have somebody special in the building, in the car, in the room. What do you call this now? Like, what do we call these things?
I don't.
So today we have the pleasure of interviewing the one and only, the beautiful, the wonderful, the amazing Mrs. Yahweh, Yahweh. Jokia is in the house today. Jokia,
Yeah.
thank you for taking time to spend some time with us and converse with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm inside, so the weather is controlled. Down here with y'all.
Awesome. Listen, I am so grateful that you have decided to take some time to just, hang out with us for a little bit. We had some technical difficulties, but you know what? We're gonna move on. That's it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We rolling with the punches.
That's it. We roll with the punches. If anything, 2020 told us that we gotta learn how to roll with the punches. And did 2020 throw some punches, some mean swings at us?
He threw some of the craziest curveballs. I'm talking about people were so excited about 2020, like, 2020 about to be the best year, like everything's about to be this, and that. It wasn't even 2 days later after January 1st. Everybody was like, let's run it back. Let's get over.
Oh my goodness. So
man.
How has 2020 been treating you, Jokia?
You know what? I've been in the house. My family personally has been safe. Nobody has contracted COVID or anything like that, so that's a plus. In good health. But it's still unfortunate to see everything that's taking place. Just with our community, and just the nation right now. So that's just tough by itself. So yeah. But for the most part, I'm like trying to take each blessing as I can. Like, you know what? I don't got COVID. Everybody's alive. It's crazy now. You got to rejoice about just being alive,
That is the truth. That is the truth. Like, we are learning, I think, to appreciate the things that we have taken advantage of.
Yeah. At first offhand, within the first week of 2020 with Kobe Bryant and losing, him and his daughter and the whole family. Golly. So that was a hard one for me because I love Michael Jordan. Like, I just love Michael Jordan. And so I know Kobe is like his understudy and stuff like that. So, but from that and then the George Floyd, and then the Ahmaud Arbery, the Breonna Taylor, it's like back to back. I'm like, and COVID at the same time.
No breathing room. It's just like 1, 2, 3, 4. Pow, pow. It's like,
Just when you thinking you on top, sit down.
Right. Look, I've been hearing a lot of people say that this is possibly God trying to get our attention. What do you say about that?
I believe that the Lord uses people's choices. He uses that to be glorified. So, and I think everything that takes place, everything that happens, it works out for the good of them that love the Lord, honestly. But, because sometimes people are like, well, this tornado came and tore up everything, but God will show up in the midst of that. And sometimes we think like God created all this to happen to show us something. And ultimately, I believe that, these circumstances have been residing. God didn't create racism. God didn't create racism to show us nothing. He didn't create sickness to show us something. These things are brought on by sin. They're brought on by hatred. And so as a whole, not me personally taking it on, but as a whole, we did these things, but God still shows up and allows something beautiful to happen even in the midst of it. Like even the unfortunate death of George Floyd and the others that have passed, we see everybody uniting and unifying. Mm-hmm. And we see people now looking for God and saying, okay, God, what are you saying? Where God in this? So the fact that we even asking questions to say, okay, what is God saying? Is God in this? Is God doing this? That's a plus right there by itself.
That is good.
Yes.
So, I know you have some new music out.
I do.
But before we even get to the music, tell us
hmm
a little more about who Jokia is.
I'm an Army veteran, and I'm a mom. Look, I call myself making something. I'm an Army veteran, and I'm a mom. And I started playing guitar in 2008 in Iraq, and I gave my life to Christ in the Army. And
Wow.
so in 2015, God said, "Hey, I want you to go and I want you to record. I want you to create music and different things like that." So in 2015, I started to come into the industry, and it was a shocker. It was almost like I was super excited, like everybody was for 2020. And then the industry hit. And I realized, like, oh, there's a difference between ministry and industry.
Mm.
Those are two different things. And I thought things that I expected to happen in the industry that when it didn't happen for me, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I'm meant to do this. I'm going to throw in the towel. And that's just more laundry. Throwing in the towel is more laundry. I'm like, so I told God, I'm done. This ain't for me. I'm gonna go ahead and sit back and lead us to the best of the best. And God was saying, no, that's not the case. That's not why I sent you. I sent you for a purpose to tell people not to be afraid and to do what I told them to do. So that's my message, is to tell people, listen, God has given you a vision. He's giving you an assignment, and you been waiting. Why? Get out there and do it.
That's good. That's good. Um, so you said that you received Christ while you were in the
Yeah.
so, so were you born and raised in the church or
You know what? How could I describe? My family had a respect for God, right? In some
okay.
aspects. And we went to church on holidays. And then sometime my mom would say, y'all get on the bus, taking y'all to church, y'all go. And then, so, I was introduced to the atmosphere, my granny, the Lord, but not to the where I am now. It wasn't always like that. And so I didn't know God in this at all. I just didn't have that experience. Like, so, by the time I came into the military, this guy, he kept like saying, hey, you should sing for God. You write music, you sing for the Lord. And I'm like, I used to run from this guy every time he would show up because he was trying to minister to me and evangelize to me. And so I finally yielded. One day he was like, hey, how you doing? The one time he's not even asking me nothing about the Lord. He just said, hey, how you doing? I just broke down crying. And he gave me a hug, and I felt the love of Christ. And then from that moment, I wanted to know, who is Jesus? Who just lifted this burden in my life that I didn't even know I had? And from then, I've been running ever since. I joined the Army when I was like 18. And so I gave my life probably when I was like 19 or 20.
19 or 20?
Yeah. And so I think for me, he kept saying, write music. I'm like, nah, I like R&B. And, I'm not the choir. And he's like, it's okay. And so I wrote music and how I felt to God. I just started from there, and it birthed out this worshiper in me. So
Incredible. So when you've had those experiences, those moments where where you were like, I'm done with this. This ain't for me.
yeah.
Like, was it a series of events, or was it like one event that was like, okay,
Oh, it
that's
was scary. It was like 2020. It was like back to back. Oh, so at first, I got excited. I came into the industry. The way I started, Marquise Boone, he's the manager of Kalante Gavin. He managed Tasha Cobbs, Casey J, Brianna Babineau in the past. He's worked with a lot of great people. And so he had this event where he's teaching the business of the music industry. So I flew to Atlanta. I went to this to just learn. And I didn't know they had a contest, but they had a contest. I thought it was share your music, and then we're going to get like industry feedback on our songwriting. So I did the little shindig on my little ping-to-panging on my guitar, and I ended up finding out that I won, me and somebody else, this guy, he's awesome. And so, long story short, I got signed to a single deal where it's essentially like, hey, we'll help you put out the single, record it for you, put it out, and see what happens. And he actually got a record deal for like a 4-year contract. And I'm like, hey, why is our contracts? It look different. Come on, what about me? And I didn't get picked. I didn't, even though I won, I didn't get the same thing. And the crazy, I was shocked because I just didn't, I'm like, how? I won number one. I don't understand. And so either way, it didn't happen the way I wanted. So that was setback number one. Okay. I moved on and I said, okay, I'm going to do this thing as an independent artist. I'm going to put music out there. I did that. And then I think at the time my music sales, I would have been number 4 on the gospel chart on Billboard. But Billboard said, "You're not gospel. You CCM." I'm like, "I'm what? What's that? You are praise and worship. You don't sound like Shirley Caesar. You sound like Lauren Daigle." And I'm like, "Oh, there's like, wow." I said, "But all my interviews, all my concerts, I've been over here in the gospel world, and they're like, yeah, no, but you sonically," I'm like, "What sonically mean?" They're like, "Yeah, it just means you don't sound like gospel." I'm like, oh my gosh. So they said, "We're going to put you on the Billboard charts over here on the CCM side where don't nobody know who you are." And I'm like, wow. Sales setback number 2. I said, okay, that hurt. That was a gut punch. But I'm going to keep on trying. Finally, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. I was like, okay, I'm working, doing this as independent artist, Stellar Awards, and I'm going for a nomination. And everybody in my category is signed to a record label. Everyone in that category except the independent artist, which was just me, did not make it. And that was like, oh, you know what? I'm done. God, take it. I don't want to do this anymore. And, I had to realize I had the perspective wrong, to be honest with you, in the first place. I was looking for the approval of man, you know what I mean? And validated by the industry. And that's not the case. I was already validated by God. That's why he told me to go and to do what I'm doing. And so once I had that concept and I submitted to that understanding, literally, no lie, like a distribution deal with Fred Jerkins from Dark Child Gospel. I ended up start working with Apostle Viral Howard, which is the manager of Dietrich Haddon. She's working with Todd Delaney, Israel Halton, who's one of my favorites. And I'm like, so now the team that I have is like stronger than ever than what I was expecting. So I realized things that I thought was rejection was redirection, So the way I look at it now is, here it is. Yeah, no, I didn't make it on the gospel side at that time, but at least that meant, okay, they see a little crossover in me. Amen. Glory. Okay. So for me, now it's just at a different perspective, So it was a series of events to answer your question. I'm sorry, that was long.
That was good. That was good. Like, that was perfect.
Yes.
It's like you're right, because it's like, certain things, it shifts our perspective.
Yeah.
And we have to have the right perspective, and like what you said, a lot of times, as artists, we're seeking approval from other artists, from the industry, from the world, and it's like, our focus and our intention should be to seek approval from God.
Yes.
And by Him gifting us, I believe that is already the initial understanding that He has approved.
Right.
He doesn't give gifts by accident. He gives them with intention, and he's expecting. And I said this to one of my friends before, that I believe it's a slap in God's face when we don't use the gifts that He is. It's like it's like we're saying, God, you made a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it is important that we use those gifts. And I am so glad that you have been using yours.
Yeah.
You have been doing some incredible things. I mean, you have Yahweh, a new song. out Yahweh, Yahweh. And
Yeah.
it's a it's a beautiful song. Tell us about Yahweh.
So in the song, the first words are, "Love came in, rushing in, so fear couldn't have me. I thought about giving, but I decided to walk in what you promised me." And so it's just that it's Yahweh is living. God saying, "Okay, hold up. You're so concerned with the industry and being validated in the approval of man. Who do you say that I am?
Mm.
Who am I to you?" Because ultimately, I was so broken hearted, crushed, and like wounded. I had to sit down for like a year and a half to like get myself together and recommit and all this stuff. And I realized when he asked me that question, I'm like, oh snap, I don't think I've been having God as number one, even though I want to say that I have. It sounds good. It looks good on paper, but the reality is that's not what I had as number one. It was what I had as like number 2 or 3, you
Mm.
know. That's just out of order, you know. So Yahweh is when God says, like, who do you say that I am? And so the word Yahweh, where that comes from and why I chose to use that was like, I thought about, who do you say that I am? Where do I remember hearing that from? And I remember hearing it in the Bible, like, I remember Moses saying to God, like, who do I say sent me? Because he said, go and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And he came back to God. He said, I'm going to tell you something about Pharaoh. Pharaoh don't play no games, Lord. I need to know, they're going to ask me, if I say my God told me to tell you to let my people go, they're going to say, who God? What's his name? What God? And he said, tell them, I am that I am.
Mm.
Told, said, let my people go. So that was the name. I am that I am. Well, in Hebrew, it's Yahweh. It's and there's different pronunciations to it. You know, some people say just Yah as God, but it was just Yahweh. And so that was like an Old Testament thing. And so that was where that story reminded me of Pharaoh. I mean, it reminded me of Moses going into an industry to say, hey, let my people go, free them up. You know, God is in control. This is I'm being completely surrendered to God. And so that's what that reminded me. It reminded me when I think God asked Peter, he said, who do men say that I am? Like, tell me what's the word on the street? Like, what people talk about me? What are they saying? You know, and I realized for myself, who do I say God am? If I really believe that God is God, then I would be so concerned and wrapped up in his approval. Nobody or nothing else even matters. Like, not even a little bit. Not even an inch or an ounce. My concern is with God. Moses could have literally said, now, you know, my friends ain't gonna like this, right, God? Like, he could have, you know what I'm saying? You do know Aaron and, you know, like, and Miriam ain't gonna like this. Like, he could have literally had these different opinions, but he just chose to be obedient. So that's what Yahweh is. It's obedience and it's a repentance song. It's a song. And then the hook says, tearing down altars that don't look like you, tearing down things that are not like altars, like an altar. And you feed it. It's an altar. You done burned it. You done offered it up. Like anxiety, depression, those things are altars. So just wanting to tear everything that doesn't look like Jesus down.
That's powerful. So tearing down altars that don't look like you. That's and and it kind of reminds me of kind of what we're going through right now. We talked about COVID-19 for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of like this whole shutdown. Many of our churches, because churches are large gatherings, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the first intimate parts of our nations that was shut down. Churches, mass gatherings, and so it kind of I've been seeing this kind of shift where pastors, leaders, churches have had to deal with that kind of tearing down these altars. You know,
Yeah.
this major shifting. Yeah, yeah, that has that has forced churches to have to like reevaluate what they are doing and why they're doing it.
I am not disappointed and I'm not mad. I'm so shut it down, Lord. Shut him off. Shut them, every lottie dottie, everybody. Shut them down. And love the fact that it was everybody. I love, like, I don't care how big you were. I don't care who you are. You ain't going nowhere. Sit down. Now is reassess. And it's a moment where everybody was like, dang, what's going on in my life? What's going on? What's really taking place? Ain't no travel. I mean, nothing. Ain't no award shows. Ain't no puff yourself up. Ain't no have all the members taking pictures with you when you get there. The signs, the fan base. No. Everybody, sit down. I am not disappointed. Some of these people ain't gonna go back to their church. Watch what I tell you. Some of these people are saying, you know what? I've been waiting for a COVID. I've been waiting for they were looking for the opportunity not to have to go back to church. Some of them need to. Some of these people are worshiping their church and their pastors, the building, as if it is a idol. And it's a place to gather, community, worship, fellowship, to love. Some people call it a hospital, but not to the point to where we forget about evangelism, not to the point where we forget about the marketplace ministry, not to the point to where we done made it into, a supermarket. Like, God, I can see how God could be like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and let y'all do what y'all do. Turn y'all over to y'all COVID. But I'm glad. I am glad. I am glad. Not all the churches were doing bad, but obviously, for the Lord say everything and everybody, something ain't been right.
Right.
We got to be honest. We've been preaching motivational prosperity, which are good, but obviously we missing something.
Yeah.
We missing something. We missing something, and God is saying it's me. That's what you're missing. Having church without me. I ain't been in. Look, like
listen.
This get fired up in the car. So you know what? Turn on the AC. Yeah.
But it's the truth, though. It's the truth, and it's needed. It's needed. We need to get focused back on what really matters. There's nothing wrong with the light.
Yeah. We started competing. It's now competition in ministries. This pastor, that pastor, this church, that church, this organization against that organization, and who has the most members now about the mega ministry. It's our church and organization is gonna hold revival. Revival gonna start with us, and everybody else gonna catch fire after it starts with our church. Like everybody church, and I said the revival gonna start at they. And so the reality is, and if for you to ask for revival, revive means something is dead. That means you acknowledge, that you anytime your heart got to be revived, it done stopped. Clear? Like, so anytime you're saying, we need revival, we want revival. It means you're saying, we are dead, and we need God. Well, then, hey, COVID, say, okay, yeah. Here you go. But again, I want to say, I don't believe that God said, let me just send out COVID to everybody. Like, I believe that because of our disobedience, because of our hearts have not been pure, they have not been forgiving. We do love in an aspect to our capacity to love. I love you to the capacity that I know how, and I feel like I've mastered love. But the bottom line is, we're like ever growing to love better and to love the way God wants us to love, and there's no monopoly or mastering love. Like you haven't mastered it. Like we're never going to master, but it's it should be a striving. Yahweh came in. I had selfish ambition. I had more than it was to please God. I have more dreams to finally arrive, to come to this great moment. And that's my selfish ambition. But I'm doing identity stuff by saying, oh, Jesus is on this, So.
Wow. Yeah. I wonder what it's going to be like when churches finally realize that they can congregate again. Are they really going to? Really, that responsibility is going to rest on the leadership. What that's going to look like when churches reopen. And I agree with you. I think a lot of people are going to be like, know, I don't think I need to go to that place no more. Yeah.
Some of their members ain't gonna be coming back. They gonna be like, "Where's sister so and so? Oh, it's sister brother so and so. They gone." I mean, but I do believe that from this, I do believe that a remnant church, I do believe that a Christ-like church,
Yeah.
I do believe is that do repent and reassess. I believe that they will come out of this thing stronger than ever. I believe that people souls will be saved from this. I do have that hope. I do have that belief. I believe that people will desire to be genuine, desire to be authentic, not what sounds and what looks good. I mean, the bottom line is I can lift my hands and worship and cry, and from the outside, it looks like, dang, that girl really loves God. But if it's not clear what's in my heart, you know what I'm saying? That's what matters. I don't care how beautiful your church is, how many members you got, how many fans you have, how many followers you have, how many likes, comments, subscribers. At the end of the day, you know, it's about, okay, what are you doing it for? Now, is there anything wrong with desiring fame? And I say this because as a church, this is what it's been. It's been, again, it's been selfish. How can we beef up us? How, you know, and God's just not pleased with it. You know, he will make our name great when we do the work. Like, do the work. You trying to be great and you ain't did nothing.
Wow.
You trying to be great by building your own stuff and you ain't built nothing. I'm saying. So
That's
it's easy to take $100 down there downtown to the streets and give everybody $10 and say, listen, I'm gonna give y'all $10 to stand right here and listen to me talk. And now there we go. Like, it's easy to do that, but God's not impressed by that. You know, he's really not. You know, he's looking at the hearts that just genuinely that want him, that, you know, and he's concerned about the one, not the 99.
That's good. So you talked about Yahweh.
Yeah.
Talked about Yahweh. So I have several personal favorites.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to talk to us about a couple of my favorites.
Okay.
So one of my favorites right now, and it's so amazing because you have a visual for it too, and I was like, wow, the visual fits so well with what you're saying, and it also fits with what's occurring right now all over the world. You know, so
Right.
I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. Rise.
Rise, exactly. Yes. Talk to us about
You
Rise.
know, my husband said, hey, you should do a new lyric video for that. Because the first time I did the song Rise, um, it was for what was going on with Houston and just the floods and everything like that. And so that was, my daughter did a lyric video for that. And so now I'm considering, like, man, I think I need to do a lyric video for Rise right now with what's going on, you know? And then, you know, I'm just torn. I'm between that and Yahweh. I'm torn because with Yahweh, I'm like, it's dealing with tearing down things that are not like God, you know? But then at the same time, Rise is like a heavy song.
Yes.
Like it's heavy. But since you just brought that confirmation, I'm gonna need to go ahead and get a lyric video done or something.
I got a suggestion for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
Doing both.
Mm.
Doing both with an F.
Yeah.
Both.
You're right. Smart.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm my own label. I can do whatever I want to. You're right. You're right. Let me go and talk to the executive. Can we do that? We can do that. We can do that.
Do that.
You know, whatever I want to. You know.
Awesome. Yeah, Rise. Oh man, listen, you guys who are tuning in, check out Rise, check out Yahweh, check out all of Jokia's music. You are not gonna be disappointed. It's
y'all.
Like she's an incredible artist, incredible writer, very thoughtful, very intentional. I can tell that your lyrics, and because that's one of the things that's really important to me. I remember even being in high school and some of my friends, they would be listening to rap music and stuff like that. There was nothing wrong with them, liking what they like. I often question, I was like, what is it that you like about that? They were like, oh, the beat is hot. And I was like, but what are they saying? It's like, like talking about your mama and your sister, and like, no, that's not okay. Oh,
That's not.
that's not good. And so, like, lyrical content is very important to me when I'm listening to you. And when I listen to your music, I can tell it's very intentional, it's very thoughtful, and
Yeah.
I very much appreciate that.
There have been times like, I'm super concerned. Like one time, no lie, this really happened. I went to this church. I don't know if I was in Philly. It was something with JJ. I don't know where we were, but we went somewhere and I was like singing the song, battling the double mind, trying not to compromise. I'm singing Rise and I'm singing this song and I'm like, I'm killing this, in my mind. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing well with this song right now. And afterwards, this guy came up to me afterwards. He's an older dude. He was like, you keep on praying and you're gonna be okay. And I realized like, oh, he thought that like I was really, really struggling. He think, oh, she need prayer. That baby. And from that moment on, I always been skeptical about Rise. I'm like, is that the perception that people have of when I do this song? Like, is the I hated that song at first. My husband wanted, I hated. One day my daughter was playing Mozart and I just came out, started singing Battling the Double Mind, but I was joking. Like I was genuinely joking with the sound. And he was like, no, that's hot. And I'm like, no. And he said, please, I'm trying to tell you, this song is what you need to do. I'm like, okay. So I did it. Reluctant.
I'm glad that you did.
Yeah.
Tell your husband I said thank you.
Yes, Uncle Ben.
So, like, let's talk about that for a little because I'm married. I have 4 children, and so I know what it's like. Being in ministry, being a recording artist,
Right.
and having a family. That can be challenging at times. How do
Yeah.
you balance that, and how important is it to have the support system of your family?
Oh my gosh. Like I couldn't imagine if I didn't have their support. The other thing is you just give them jobs. You employ them. Everybody got a job around here. You gonna play drums. You pick up the piano. You, my husband, look, you, just stay there. You see you see the drums right there?
Who plays the drums?
My youngest, Jasmine, she's 17. Felicia, she's 19 and plays the piano, the grand piano.
Nice.
And I got the guitar. Ben plays the bass every once in a while, but yeah, you just give them jobs. And then when they don't feel like, there's times they're teenagers, they don't feel like it. So when that happens, they just kind of like, just be my cheerleaders. They're like rooting me on and stuff like that, praying for me. And like, you need any water and some tea? I'm like, thanks. Be nice for you to play, but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So they're actually now at the point though where they're saying, "Oh, mom, you're famous," and I'm like, that's been the latest talk because different people have been sending the videos.
Right.
Got verified on Instagram, so they're just like, "Yep, my mom's famous now." I'm like, "Nah."
Nice. It's always amazing, like to have your family, your especially your children, rooting you on. So I have another song. That's another one that I
Okay.
want you to talk about. Um, that is the Father lives in us.
Yes.
Oh, oh! I think that's the first song that I heard of yours. That was the
Mm.
very first song I heard of yours. I heard you on the radio. Man, who is this person? That song is powerful.
Oh.
Tell us about that song.
That song, I was like finally at a point where I was like super proud of myself. I'm like, man, I really wish my grandfather was here to like enjoy, and I can, I was raised by my grandparents and my mom, back and forth. But my grandfather was a huge part of my life. And when I was 12, he died of lung cancer. And I was thinking like, man, he would be so proud of like where I'm at right now and what I've been able to accomplish and been driven, and how God has like blessed my life and everything. And so I was like, had a crying moment. I was missing like my grandfather. I was missing like my dad. He was my father. And so I'm like, man, I feel like at that moment, I felt like fatherless. And then that's when God said like, hello, I'm the father in you. You're not alone. You're not by yourself.
Right.
That's where the Father lives in us comes in. And then on there you have my husband Ben is singing, and then we have my daughter Felicia. So just add dynamic, the father-daughter, and their dynamic in that as well. It's from a natural also to a spiritual
right.
Father. So we talk about the fatherless, and I just wanted that song to be a song that just reminded people that like, hey, God lives on the inside of you. There is a Father that resides in you. You're not alone. You can talk to him anytime. You can converse with him, tap into that. And so that's where that came in.
That is awesome. That's awesome. I need you to talk to my wife because I've been trying to get her sing with me for a while, and she keeps shooting me down. I don't like it. I don't like it, Jokia. I don't like it.
I tell Ben, I'm like, Ben, sing. He be like, I'm gonna sing solo. Solo, you can't hear me. That's messed up. it took me forever that song, and the only reason why I think he sang on that song is because the producer was like, come on, come on, come on. So but yeah, it's always pulling teeth to get your spouse to sing. Oh my God.
I'm gonna need you to pray for me. Pray for my wife. Pray the Lord changes her heart.
Lord, do it, Lord,
Right now.
right now. Hey.
So now Yahweh, going back to Yahweh for a little bit, is Yahweh is your newest single, right?
Yes, it is.
Now, is this part of a project or is this a single by itself?
I don't know. On one side, I'm like, I wanted to be a part of the project. That's what people, some people have asked. But then the other part of me is like, I don't mind dropping singles, but I don't know. I'm just kind of just waiting on for God to tell me. I don't just want to be doing stuff, just be doing stuff, especially because it costs. Every song you record costs.
Yes.
So it's kind of like waiting to hear what is the next song and what is the message. What is the purpose? Like, what are we saying? What are we doing, God? I don't want to just have a collection of songs because they sound good, but then they're not impactful. Like, for you to be able to go back to Rise and say like, hey, I don't know if you know, but that song is this, or hey, it works for the times. Like it's timeless, it can work for that trauma. It can work for this trauma. It's intentional. The Father lives in us is transcendent. Every year we got Father's Day.
Yeah.
It's Yahweh, every year, every day, you got to tear down something that done had you jacked up. You need a little motivation to say, God, take me back to your altar, please. I call you Yahweh. And so with creating music, I'm just torn between, okay, well, let me not torn out. That's not the right word. Just waiting to hear what God wants me to do. Because I got a couple songs in the back pocket.
Right.
Are they the ones? I don't know. And sometimes people be like, that's the one right there. And I'm like, I don't know. What God say? Listen, our industry approval, I'm good on that. Like, I'm good on that. I'm signed to Lord. I'm signed to Yahweh. I'm signed to God. I'm signed to Jesus records, I'm go check with him, see what he's,
It's good. Like and what do you think about that shift in the music industry? Like where it seems like that's the direction where music is going because of all the changes and how people purchase music and listen to music. People aren't really buying albums really anymore.
Right.
They're streaming, and so do you think that's what eventually is going to happen where everybody's going to be dropping singles outside of probably like major artists,
Right.
big name artists
I
like Jokia, who can drop an album and everybody's gonna buy it. I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I don't think that'll ever go anywhere, that people won't make a compilation of music, because the artist itself is, I don't care how the industry changes, the artist itself creates.
Mm.
That creative side of you, it's hard to just release one thing sometimes. Sometimes it is like, wow, this whole thing says all of this.
Mm.
Not song, the whole project. So I don't think that albums and EPs will disappear at all. I do believe that singles, though, dropping singles back to back has created a wave of, I don't have to wait until I got 15 songs. I got 3. I'm about to just release one, this one, this one, this one, and then this one. So I think the singles have created a way to where we don't wait. We drop what we feel, drop what we have, drop what's inspiring. And so, but now the CDs and then that has been like, what's going to happen? It's been up in the air, but a lot of people saying, oh, streaming is going to be the new wave. Internet radio it's gonna be on the rise. It's the hit thing. Like, there's so many things that saying, hey, internet's where it's at. That's where we are. And I don't think anybody thought we was gonna leave cassettes. I remember having a cassette, like twisting the thing, like with my finger with nope. I remember the Walkman. Like, I had a Walkman.
Yeah.
I had we had the CD player in our hand, in our pockets, with the headphones on the outside.
Yes.
Somebody told us back then and say, eventually in a certain amount of time, you're not gonna have none of that to listen to music. I remember when what's the little pods? They had the little Apple came out with the little square things, and
yes, I remember
those,
that.
we had those. You wouldn't have been able to tell us that all of that we wouldn't even use to this day. So to me now, it does not surprise me if we end up not having CDs, like if that happens. I hear people say, well, I still like the tangible CD, the old-fashioned CD. But the reality is, you ain't got no CD player. How you gonna play it? You ain't putting that CD in and stop playing. But some people like it just as a nostalgic feeling, But yeah, I don't think it'll go anywhere. But again, we didn't think Walkmans, tape players, iPads, iPods, CD players. Now we listen to music on our phone. We listen to satellite radio. We listen to internet radio. Streaming. Like, that's crazy.
That is true. It is crazy. You have me thinking about all those nostalgic moments now.
Yeah, you remember, man, I used to listen to Tevin Campbell on my little cassette player. Still be all jacked up, the string. I'm like, oh crap, trying to flipping the tape over,
Wow. I refuse to accept that I'm old. That's it. I can't. I won't accept it.
But players back.
Say it again?
They're trying to bring the record players back. Exactly. I feel the same way. I remember they were trying to do a push for that, and I'm like, you know what? They look cool, but nah. They ain't coming back.
Yeah, unless you're a DJ, I don't really see that happening now.
As now.
Yeah.
I've been seeing DJs press buttons like press and enter. Like, oh snap. DJs just like this, enter. Like, what happened to scratch it?
Yeah, you're not a real DJ.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that.
I can do that, but look, no. Listen, if you a DJ, shout out to you. If you press the button, you DJing it up,
Shout out to
me and Christopher talk about how much things have changed over the years and what we can expect that we don't know what's going to be here in a few years, to be honest.
Yep, that is true. Jokia, what is next for you?
Oh man, traveling when COVID lifts. Traveling. I want to go internationally. I really do. I look up to Israel Houghton so much, and I love the fact that he was just multicultural. So I want to be multicultural because God is, he respects and honors ethnicity and diversity. And so I want to be diverse. I want to be at least understanding of it. I want to be familiarized with other cultures and how they worship. Like Puerto Rico, they're not out of the country. They're part of the U.S., but seeing how their culture worships. Seeing, they have a lot of other demonic stuff too in Puerto Rico that tries to rise up, but there are Christians, there are believers there. And so I just feel like I want to be engrafted into that. I want to be an international sound. So that's my hope. That is what I would like to do. So because that's what I would want to do, that's what I believe is next. That, and then also to more music. I have a clothing line out with my husband. And so it's called God Sent. That's what I have on right here.
Okay.
Yes. So I wanted to create like a fashion line that had the message of, again, you're God sent. Do what God told you to do. The message still the same. So it's not about the clothes. It's about the message. I care less about clothes. It's about the message. The point is, I'm not ashamed. I be wearing Adidas hats. I wear my Nike hats, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna not be ashamed. I'm gonna wear my God hat. Like I'm gonna say it loud. Kanye West and people felt like Jesus was cool again. Like, oh, Jesus cool. Yeah, we like Jesus. Like it took Kanye to come over here for Jesus to be, somebody we should Google. And but he was inspiring to the fact people start wearing, people who aren't even believers. I see them wearing Sunday service gear on from Kanye West.
Yeah.
And even with God is dope, I believe the guy who created God is dope. He believes in God, but he's not like converted, like, he, still working on his lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And he said, hey, the point I did this is because this God can mean any God. So I made a brand that can mean anything to anybody. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dang, how clever. And he's a multi-millionaire. And the unfortunate thing is I'm really genuinely a believer. Like, I really love God out here. Like, I really do. And so I'm like, if believers don't create nothing, we're not going to have nothing. So to answer your question, more music, traveling, and expanding the clothing line, for sure. I'm trying to see if I have like a little leather bag that we have. It's not in here. But yeah.
That is really awesome. Like, and I love the T-shirt. I love the message because I remember, like, I'm from New York, and so I remember one time I was riding on the train, and I was going through something, and like, how you're processing things in your mind, you don't realize what your face may look like, And then as I'm riding on the train, I get a glimpse of my reflection in the window, and I'm looking sad, I'm looking depressed, I'm looking like I got a whole bunch of stuff on my mind, looking like it's all over, and then I take a glimpse at the T-shirt I was wearing. It was a T-shirt of one of my friends, and it says, "This is what faith looks like." Mm. That really tore me apart because I'm like, wow, is this what others are seeing and saying? This guy is supposed to have faith in God. Like, if that's what faith looks like, I don't want it. So that caused me to really be more intense on, not putting on a fake mask or a fake face or anything like that, but being intentional about dealing with issues that I'm going through, being intentional about who I am and who God says I am, regardless of what I'm going through. Your message, your T-shirt, God sent, is a powerful message that everybody needs to be aware of.
Oh, thank you.
So, Jokia, I want to thank you again for spending some time with me. Car Chronicles with Chris, you, and then the Praise Radio Show. Listen, I want to give you an opportunity to tell everybody how they can find you, how they can find your music, how they can find your merchandise, and give your closing remarks and pray us out. You want to give us a sermon. You want to reach out and touch somebody.
You can find me at my house. Not just like. No, I'm just kidding. You guys can stay connected with me on all my social media outlets. It's Jokia Music, like Nokia phone, but with a J. And also too, the website for the clothing line is www.godsent.bw for Benjamin Williams.com. And my music is there too. You guys can purchase. You guys communicate with me. I talk back. And my website music.net. But yeah, so thank y'all so much for allowing me to come on here in the Car Chronicles with Christopher Sims, doing it big, my brother, and being able to just chat and share and hear me talk, hear my heart. My biggest encouragement that I just want to leave you with is know that God loves you. Continue to perfect loving. And in addition, just know you're God sent. Like God literally sent you to do a work. Why aren't you doing it? There's no good enough reason that you can have, because the repercussion and the consequence of not doing it is that you won't be able to inherit the kingdom of God. And that's not my message. That's in the Bible. I didn't write it, so don't get mad at me. But he said, depart from me, you workers of iniquity, I know you not. When the guy had the talent and he didn't want to use the talent, he said, God, I knew you was a hard man. I don't want to be disrespectful and not produce. And so I'd rather just keep it together rather than the disapproval. But the people that did go and multiply their talents, God was pleased with them. And so I know you want God to be pleased with you. So just do what God is telling you to do. If you're already in the thick of things and you are doing it, you walking out what God is saying do for your life, what I would tell you is don't quit. Stay in that thing. Don't get weary in your well-doing. And I love y'all.
Woo! Awesome. Listen, family, thank you for tuning in. Jokia, thank you for sitting with us and talking with us and conversing with us. Listen, you share some really powerful stuff. And let's go and check Jokia out. Go and find her on social media. Get her music, get her merchandise, support her. Listen, we are out of here, family. It's been a great day. It's been a great time. Jokia, I appreciate you so much. You take care. You have a great day. Tell your family I said, what's
up? Will do. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.